I like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called Rurouni Kenshin, The Final. In 1879, Kenshin and his allies faced their strongest enemy yet, his former brother-in-law Enishi and his minions, who vowed their revenge. So this movie just came out. It's about 2 hours and 19 minutes long. A Japanese anime adventure. Now before I dive into all that, I want to talk about the anime I used to watch back in the day. Now this show was The Jump Off. Everybody knew that, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people recognize it from when they used to play it on Adult Swim. Now Kenshin at this point in life was a man looking for peace. But what people don't know is he used to go by a name called Boltosai. And when it was wartime, he was part of an elite group of assassins. And he killed over thousands and thousands of people. And you notice how he has this X scar on his cheek? I'll explain the reason for that later on. Bottom line, it was an awesome show. But on with the movie. Spoiler alert, let's get it. So here we have this general and his minions boarding on a train. And they're looking for this guy named Enishi. Enishi is now a boss of a Shanghai mafia, but as these soldiers are clearly finding out, it's not going to be easy to arrest this guy. He avoids and flips off one train to another, and then after whipping everybody's candy ass, he allows himself to be taken in. But why though? Meanwhile, on the outskirts of Tokyo, is that supposed to be Sanosuke? Sure. And there's Miss Kaoru, the little boy from the show that I can't remember his name. I think they adopted him after like the 5th episode or something like that. And Mr. Rurouni Kenshin himself, there he is. They were all chilling and enjoying a festival at the moment. Enjoying a festival, I mean. Then back at the dojo, you see some training getting done. Kenshin having talks with the higher-ups of the government. Then on the other side, we find out Anishi's getting released into different custody, which basically means he's getting free. Something he obviously knew once he got turned himself in. Commander's pissed off. But his boss is like, man, we ain't had no choice. And he says, oh, by the way, you're gonna be working with this guy. He used to be one of the leader of the 10 Swords, but now he's working for us. But obviously, he don't trust this nigga. He knows he's a traitor to the core. Back at the spot, everybody enjoying dinner, having a grandiose time. But lurking in the woods, Enishi pops out with his squad of gang of niggas, and one of his dudes launches a missile from a cannon and ends up hitting this random spot, just blowing shit up. Enishi talked about getting revenge, but why is he getting revenge on people in this city? So anyway, Kenshin is trying to figure out who caused all this destruction, and they find a note that says, man judges. He doesn't know who did it, but he recognized the saying. He's like, it's a sign that people used to put out back in the day to get revenge, as our chief pops up and conveniently tells us. And apparently he wants revenge on Kenshin, but why? So as they tend to everybody in the spot, Kenshin's walking around the dark looking ominous and whatnot. And they know Kenshin knows something, but he ain't saying shit. But before Sanosuke can get it out of him, some guy comes busting through the doors like, help! The police need help. One of these crazy motherfuckers with the batons cause all types of ruckus. And he's ready to kill everybody in that house, men, women, children, all that. But then here comes Kenshin to save the day. The battle ensues and Kenshin wins. But not before this motherfucker decided to blow himself up. Shit was crazy. But everybody else made it out alive. Then we get to daytime as Kenshin's walking and he spots Enishi. But Kenshin didn't know it was him at first because he thought Enishi was dead. He said, just time is coming and you know what you did. You did what you did to my sister. He's like, trust me, I'm not after your body no more. I'm after your soul. And there will be more of us coming. Meanwhile, as the military is getting themselves ready for beef, 10 Swordsman tells the general there's a spot that he found on the location of the guns. Once again, he doesn't really trust them, but he's going to send his men out there to this location anyway. Yep, pretty much. While Anishi's in his room deliberating, this guy comes out of nowhere and is like, yeah, we still got that agreement on, yo. I get the land, right? But Enishi don't give a fuck about the land. He's just in a position of power to get what he wants. Then we get a flashback to Enishi and his sister Tomoe. Yeah, it's a little heart to heart. And that's Tomoe. Apparently, he swore revenge on him or something like that on Kenshin. But forget all that. Now we about to hear the full story from Kenshin about why Enishi wants to kill him and how he got those scars in the first place. Alright, so at one point in time, Kenshin was actually married to Tomoe. But she was with him when she knew about his evil intent or, murderous spree. See, Kenshin vowed never to kill anybody again, but back then he was still an assassin. He was trying to live a peaceful life with his wife to get away from all that killing. The crazy thing is, she was actually sent as a spy back then to recover information from him. She never wanted to do it, but she never wanted to disobey orders either. She was supposed to find out his weaknesses so enemies could use it to his advantage. But Kenshin somehow found out about this in Tomoe's diary. So one day in the snow when these guys are planning their attack, Tomoe grabbed on one guy during the fight, and Kenshin took a slight with his blade, killing both of them. Man, that's a fucked up, G'd up, thorough ass pose. And basically, that's why Enishi wants him dead. And as she was dying, he put the blade in her hands and would cut across an X in his face. Yep, that's how he got the scar. So basically, it's just a long tale of revenge. So now that Kenshin finally got that off his chest with his friends, Corey, you gotta give him some comfort. Then we find out Double-Edged Sword Man really shouldn't have been trusted because he's working for Enishi. So more than likely, the army's about to fall into a damn trap. Then this chick comes out of nowhere and needs to see Kenshin. Come to find out she had Tomoe's diary and she wanted to give it to Kenshin, but she's like, okay, I'll give it to you, Kumar. So Korra now has possession of Kenshin's ex-wife's diary. Now we got the army setting up going to this warehouse, which from the looks of things, looks like a damn trap. Look at this. Is that supposed to be Makoto? He's got the powers of fire, so it must be Makoto. He just spouts all stuff like a crazy man. Now Makoto Shichiyo was the fucking man back in the comics, you know what I'm saying? And especially in the cartoons and the animes. He was out here putting in work and giving Kenshin the business. But in the movie, all he gets is some exploding scenes, a couple people running in to defeat the army, and his character gets walked on, tossed by the wayside. Some old bullshit, cuz. Well, anyway, Kenshin's back in the square again. There's a bunch of flyers coming down off of weather balloons talking about man judges. And one of the balloons is Enishi, so you already know shit about to hit the fucking fan. Man breaking out the candy, he busted everything. And now we got beef all over the place. We got this random dude by the Merc niggas. Sanosuke's about to go one-on-one with Enishi. And I'm sorry, Sasuke, you about to get fucked up. Meanwhile, Kenshin finishes off Arm Cannon Man, but he wants him to give him an honorable death. And Kenshin tells him he made a vow never to kill anybody again. He's begging for death, but then the police come and take him away. Kenshin hurries back to the spot, but it's too late. Everybody got fucked up, and they took your girl. Like I said, Sanosuke got completely furred. Next day, Boss Man comes back to the town like, what the fuck happened? Those bastards tricked us. Korra finally wakes up in the bed. She tries to escape, but quickly realizes that there's nowhere for her to go. And then of course, Enishi lets her know that. Then he damn near tries to choke her out and shit. Meanwhile, Kenshin's trying to do some soul searching. Dude keeps hounding Enishi. He's like, man, you'll get your shit. Now get the fuck out of here. But his goofy ass is getting impatient. Meanwhile, people find their hideouts. More beef about to pop up. And Kenshin's there too to deliver that business. The army followed them and helped out too. Now it's time. They go to the house. Who's this guy? Well, anyway, he decided to help out Kenshin. More beef. And now it's the showdown. Kenshin versus Enishi. And of course, the fight scene is fucking spectacular. Enishi gets the upper hand at one point, and he's like, why don't you just die, atone for your sins? And Kenshin says he doesn't know if he could ever atone for his sins, but he knows he can't die yet. He needs to live on. Enishi's like, you selfish son of a bitch. While that's going on, Corey's in Tomoa's old room and starts spinning tops. Well, after that, Kenshin finally gets the upper hand. Enishi's down for the count. Then it gets to a point where Kenshin let Enishi stab him. And you're like, what the fuck? But then out of nowhere, Kenshin gets shot in his back by this motherfucker here. Then he ended up shooting Enishi in his back, trying to save Korra's life. Then he gets up and starts pounding the shit out of him. He damn near would have almost beat him to death if Kenshin hadn't stopped him. Just know that this is a wild ass scene. Afterwards, Enishi gets locked up. And while he's in jail, Kimura sends him his sister's diaries book. He reads through it, and it's just too much for him to bear. And he just breaks down crying. Meanwhile, everything is somewhat back to normal at the dojo. Kenshin and Korra pay their respects. They're able to let go of the past and he can walk off with his girl. Somewhat. All in all, it's a pretty good movie. Even though Makoto didn't have a bigger part in this shit, but whatever. Because everybody knows Shishio was that nigga. But anyway. Rurouni Kenshin, the final on Netflix. Check it out. Like, click, subscribe, do all that. You know what time it is. Like, easy, mister. Big. You got that slogan.